Hello dear students, today's topic of my lecture is cosets and Lagrange's theorem. Cosets, what cosets does to group, it decomposes a group into finite number of sets. We will discuss this. First of all, the definition of coset. Suppose G be a multiplicative group and H be any subgroup of G. Let A be any arbitrary element of G. Then the set which is formed by subgroup H with HA. We multiply A on the right hand side of H. So it has element of the type HA, where H small h belongs to capital H. This is called the right coset of H in G generated by A. Similarly, if we pre-multiply A to the elements of H, we get AH, A capital H. And in this set, we have element of that type A small h, where small h belongs to capital H. This is called the left coset of H in G generated by A. Since H is a subgroup of G, so all the elements are from G, and A is also an arbitrary element of G. So by closure law, all the elements of HA and AH are in G. So these two are subsets of G, right? Now, since E be any element, identity element in G, so we can form left as well as right coset with E. And that left and right coset will be of the type HE is equal to EH and equal to H. So this implies what? Each subgroup is a left as well as right coset of a group. Clear? Since H is a subgroup, so E belongs to H. And if A be any element of G, then EA type of element belongs to HA by the definition of right coset. So this implies EA is equal to A, since E is the identity element. So A belongs to HA. So this implies this right coset is non-empty set, since at least this A element by which it is generated always belongs to HA. So this implies though no right coset or left coset of a subgroup H in G is empty. So we have find this. If G is abelian and subgroup H is abelian, then in that case left coset will be equal to right coset. Similarly, if we take the operation of group as addition, so we can form two right and left cosets by H plus A, in which the elements will be of the type small h plus A, and A plus H, A plus capital H, in which the elements will be of the type small a plus small h for all h belonging to capital H. So these two left and right cosets are for additive groups. So now we are going to see some of the examples of this cosets, and by those examples we will be able to find some of the properties, very important properties of cosets. So we are taking the first example, and we know right from the beginning, the very first example of groups I have told that set of integers forms an abelian group with respect to addition. So take G as be the set of all integers of this type. It forms an abelian group under addition. We know it very well. Now let H be a subgroup of G. Since G is abelian, so left coset of H will be equal to right coset of H. So here there is no distinction between the left coset and the right coset. The subgroup G of H is taken as a subgroup which is obtained by multiplying every element of G by 3. So this H will be of the type, it has elements 0, plus minus 3, plus minus 6, plus minus 3, and so on. That is, it is obtained by multiplying the elements of G by 3. That is 3G type of element. And it is easy to see that this forms a subgroup. Now we are going to find the right cosets of H. Since 0 is the identity element of G, so we can form a right coset by applying H plus 0, and there will be no change in the elements of coset, and it will be equal to H. As I have already discussed above, when we operate by identity the elements on H, we get H, and it is a right coset. So since every subgroup is its own right and left coset, so it will be a right coset. Now since 1 belongs to G, so we find another coset by adding 1 to each element of H. So we get what type of elements? If we add 1 here, we get -8, -5, -2, 1, 4, 7, 10, and ... So this will be a subset of G. It will not form a subgroup. Similarly, 2 is an element of G. So we can form another right coset of H in G by adding 2. So when we add 2 in -9, you will get -7. -6 plus 2 is -4. -3 plus 2 is -1. 0 plus 2 is 2, and so on. So we get another set. This is again not a subgroup, but it is still a subset of G. So now we have 3 right cosets of H in G, which are formed by H plus 0, H plus 1, and H plus 2. Now we see, we take a next element of G, positive element of G, and that element is 3. So if we add 3 plus H plus 3, we see we get a coset which is again H. Similarly, if we operate this H 5 over H, we add 5 to all the elements of H, we see that we get the set which is same as H plus 2. And similarly, by H plus 4, we get a set H plus 1. So what we are seeing that all the elements, and if we take union of H, H plus 1, and H plus 2, we see we get all the elements of G. So what H really this coset has done, it decomposed the group G into 3 parts. One is H plus 1, one is H plus 2. So that is the beauty of cosets. They decompose groups into finite set, what we have seen. And one more thing we can observe from these examples is what? There is no element common in H plus 0 and H plus 1, and also H plus 2. And if one element is common, then all the elements are same. So this is a very important theorem. We will prove it very shortly, that all the right cosets or left cosets of a subgroup over group are distinct. And if they have one element in common, then they will be equal. And the union of all right coset will be equal to G. So this coset will decompose, it will partition group into different sets. That is the property of cosets. Now we are going to see some of the theorems on cosets, which will be used in coming sets of group. So the very first theorem is what? If H be any subgroup of G, then AH, left coset of H with A, is equal to H is equal to HA, if and only if A belongs to H. So easily we can prove it. Let A be any element of H. First of all, we suppose A is an element of H, and we prove this. And conversely, we take this AH is equal to H is equal to A, and we prove A is in H. Since A belongs to H, so this implies if we take small h belonging to capital H, be arbitrary, then since H is a subgroup, so HA, small ha, will belongs to capital HA by the definition of right. And by the definition of right coset, we see that HA type of element is belong to this. So this implies HA will be contained in H. Very easily to see. Now, take small h belonging to capital H be arbitrary, and since E is the identity of both group and subgroup, so this H can be written as HE. And now this A, if A be any arbitrary element of H, so this implies A inverse belongs to H, and E will be written as A inverse H, A inverse A. So we replace E by A inverse A, and now we can get this H A inverse into A. And now since H belongs to capital H, small a inverse belongs to capital H, so H A inverse will also be in H. Let it be H A inverse be H1. This will belongs to H. So this H can be written as H1A. So this H will be in HA. So we have taken this H from capital H. Now we are showing that capital H belongs, this H belongs to HA. So all the elements of H are in HA. This implies H will be a subset of HA. So combining these two, 1 and equation 2, we can easily see that HA is equal to H. So this is the theorem. Similarly, we can prove for left coset. Now the second theorem is what? If H is any subgroup of G and let A and B be any two arbitrary elements of G, then HA is equal to HB if and only if AB inverse belongs to H. This is for right coset, and for left coset we have AH is equal to BH if and only if A inverse B belongs to H. Since A belongs to G, so this implies HA will be a right coset of H in G by the definition of right coset. And A can be written as EA, where E belongs to H. So this implies A will be in HA. But we have assumed that HA is equal to HB. So this implies since A belongs to HA, so A belongs to HB. Since B belongs to G, so B inverse will be in G. So by operating both sides by B inverse, we get AB inverse belongs to HB into B inverse. By using associativity on the right hand side, we get AB inverse belongs to HBB inverse, and BB inverse is equal to E, and we have already seen that HE is equal to H. So this implies AB inverse belongs to H. So theorem is necessary. We have proved that if HA is equal to HB, then AB inverse belongs to G. So now we are going to show the converse part. So let AB inverse belongs to H. So we have a theorem which says that if A belongs to HA, if A belongs to H, then HA barabar H. So by using this property, we have what? HAB inverse is equal to H. So this implies HAB inverse by operating B on both sides, by multiplying B on both sides, we will get this. And by using associativity, we get this. And from this, we can prove that HA is equal to HB. So converse part is also true. So we have a very important theorem. If A and B are any two elements of G, then if the right coset with respect to A and B are equal, that is HA is equal to HB, then if this happens, if and only if AB inverse belongs to H. So this is the theorem number 2. Now, the next theorem is any two right or left coset of a subgroup are either disjoint or identical. That what I have discussed in this example, first example, where I have taken is group of integers, and we see that there exist only 3 disjoint right cosets of H in G. H is obtained by multiplying each element of G by 3. So we are going to show this theorem. So let G be the multiplicative group and H be any subgroup of G. Let HA and HB be any two right cosets of H in G. That is, we have taken 2 elements A and B of G, and we have taken 2 right cosets formed by A, generated by A and B as HA and HB in G. So suppose HA and HB are not disjoint. We have to show these are disjoint, but we suppose that HA and HB are not disjoint. So this implies what? They are not disjoint. That means what? There exists at least one element which is common in both. So let that element be C. So C belongs to HA and C belongs to HB, both. Now, since all the elements of HA are of the type H1A, where H1 belongs to capital H, and all the elements of HB are, you can say, H2B, where H2 belongs to capital H. So let C is equal to H1A and C is equal to H1A in HA and C is equal to H2B in HB. But C is a unique element, so H1A will be equal to H2B. So now we have what? Capital H. So H1 inverse will also belongs to H. So by multiplying both sides by H1 inverse and applying associativity, we will get this. And since H1 inverse into H1 will be equal to identity, so what we have, this EA is equal to H1 inverse H2B. Now this EA, since E is identity, will be equal to A, and this A is equal to H1 inverse H2B. Since H1 belongs to H, so H1 inverse belongs to H. H2 belongs to H, so that implies H1 inverse into H2 be an element of H, since H1 is H is a subgroup. So this implies this type of element, you can say it H3, it is belongs to in H3 will be in H. So by equation 1 we have A belongs to H3B, and this implies HA is equal to H3B, and this can be written as HA is equal to H3B. And by theorem 1 we have seen that this element will be what? This is H3 belongs to H, so H3 is equal to H. So this H3 will be equal to H. So we have proved that HA is equal to HB. So that is cosets are identical. If we take two cosets which are disjoint, that they are not disjoint, then they will be identical. That means what? If one element in two right cosets of H in G is common, then all the elements will be common. That is, if so you can easily say the two right cosets are either disjoint or identical. So this is a very important theorem. So either disjoint or identical. Okay, now we are going towards the fourth theorem, which says if H is a subgroup of a group G, then G is equal to the union of all right cosets of H in G. That is what we have seen, that the right cosets or left coset, you can say, have very important property if they are identical, if they have one element in common, otherwise they are disjoint. That is, they have no element in common, then they are disjoint. If they have one element in common, then they all will be equal. Two right coset will be equal. So now we have to show that if we take all the distinct right cosets of H, any subgroup of group, and we take union of all those distinct right coset, we will be equal, we will get the group. Since now we are going to show this theorem, since each element of a right coset of H in G is in G, because H, all the elements of H are taken from G. So all the elements of right coset of H will be in G. So every element of union of all right coset of H in G will also be in G. Since H, all the elements of H, HA, HB, and all dot union dot all the elements of right cosets will be in G. So their union will be also in G. So that means what? H union HA union HB union dot will be a subset of G. Let it be equation number 1. Let X be any arbitrary element of G. So this implies Hx will be a right coset of H in G generated by X by the definition. So this implies X belongs to Hx. So this implies H belongs to the union of, since it is in one right coset, so it will be in the union of all the right coset of H in G. So this implies X belongs to H union HA in union HB union dot all the union of all the right cosets of H in G. But we have taken X from G and we have proved that H belongs to the union. So all the elements of G are in the union. So G is a subset of this. So that, let it be equation number 2. Combining 1 and 2, we see that G is equal to H union HA is union HB union HC dot. So group is what we have shown, that H is a subgroup and G is a group. Then G is equal to the union of all distinct right cosets of H in G. This is a very important theorem. Now, I have already tell in starting that right coset decomposition of G is what? The cosets what does? They give the partition of group. They decompose the group into sets. So what that's I am going to tell you about this right cosets decomposition of a group. So suppose H be any subgroup of G, no right coset of H in G is empty. We have already shown it. And any two right coset of H in G are either disjoint or identical. We have already proved in the theorem. And next theorem, in the next theorem, we have shown that, we have already shown that union of all right coset of H in G is equal to G. So by using all these properties, you can easily say that the set of all right coset of H in G gives a partition in G. This partition is called the right coset decomposition of G with respect to H. So since in the first example, we have seen that if we take the group of all integers, additive group of all integers, and then there exist only three distinct right cosets, H plus 0, H plus 1, and H plus 2. And I have already told you, if we take the union of all these distinct right cosets, you will be able to find the whole set G, the whole set of integers. So that is what if G be additive group of integers, then H be this type of subgroup, then we have seen that G is equal to H union H plus 1, H union H plus 2. That is, this coset will partition group into three parts. One is H plus 1, one is H plus 2. All these partitions are disjoint. They have no element in common. And the union of all these cosets will be equal to G. So this is called the coset decomposition of G. And this subgroup H divides the group into three partitions, into three parts. So this 3 is called the index of subgroup with respect to group. What we are going to define next, that is index of a subgroup in G. If H is a subgroup of G, then the number of distinct right cosets of H in G is called index of H in G, and it is denoted by IGH or GH. So in this case, IGH is equal to 3. So this is what about cosets and its important properties. Now with the help of this coset and its important property, we are going to prove one very important theorem of this abstract algebra. That theorem is Lagrange's theorem. And it gives you the connection between the order of subgroup and order of finite group. And this theorem says that, this very important theorem, very, very important theorem, the order of each subgroup of a finite group is a divisor of order of group, but the converse is not true. So what we have to show that the order of subgroup of a finite group, if group is finite, then order of each subgroup of group is a divisor of order of group. That means what? It will divide the group. But the converse is not true. That means what? If any number divides the order of group, it is not always possible we can find a subgroup of that order. So that is, the converse is not true. So first of all, we are going to prove this theorem. This is very, very important theorem. Once again, I am telling you. So let G be a finite group. Since G is finite, so its order will be finite. So let us assume that order of G will be n. That is, order of G is equal to n. You know about the order of group. Order of group means the number of element in that set which forms a group under a binary operation. That is called the order of group. So order of group is n. So let H be any subgroup of G, and let order of H is equal to small m. So what we have to show by Lagrange's theorem, that m is a divisor of n. So since H be a subgroup of G, and we have already seen that, so we can find H1, H2, ... Hm are m distinct elements of H, because we have assumed that the order of H is m. So H will have only m distinct elements. So let A belongs to G be arbitrary. So the right coset of H in G, that is HA, will be defined by this HIA. That is, HI belongs to H, where I is from 1 to m. That is, it will be operated over these elements. Now all these elements HIA are distinct. If we take any two equal, that is HR is equal to HS, HRA is equal to HSA, where R is not equal to S, and R and S are from between 1 to m, from these m elements, m distinct elements. So we have assumed that HRA is equal to HSA. All the elements of HR and A are from G, which is a group. So it holds cancellation law. So by right cancellation law, we can easily see that HR is equal to HS, which is a contradiction to our this assumption that all the elements H1, H2, dot, 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 HM are distinct element. So this is not possible. So this is not possible. So we don't have any HRA equal to HSA between these elements. So all these elements of this right cosets are distinct. This right cosets are distinct. Since H has M distinct elements, so this right coset will also have M distinct elements. So we have formed a right coset of H with any arbitrary element A of G, and we have shown that it will have M distinct elements. So now we can find another right coset of H in G by some other element, say HB. So it will also have M elements. So that's what we can find all the different right cosets of different element of G in H, and all these right cosets will have only M elements. But since we know that the union of distinct right cosets will be equal to the order of group, so these distinct right cosets of H in G, the union of all these distinct right cosets of H in G will be equal to G. Since G is finite, so number of distinct right coset must also be finite. Let we have K distinct right cosets given by HA1, HA2, dot, 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 HAK, where A1, A2, and AK are distinct elements of G. So by the theorem, which we have already proved, that the union of all distinct right cosets of H will be equal to G. So G will be equal to HA1 union HA2 union HA3 dot, 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 union HAK. Now G is what? The number of elements in G will be equal to number of element of HA1 plus number of element of HA2 plus number of element of HA3 plus dot, 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 number of elements in HAK. Number of elements is number of element in G is n. We have already assumed that, and we already shown that all the elements of all in each right coset there will be only M elements. So there will be M plus MK times. This is what MK elements, total elements in the union of all right coset will be MK, and that must be equal to the order of group. Order of group is n. So we have shown that n is equal to mk. This implies what? N upon m is equal to k. That is, order of G upon order of H is equal to k. This implies order of H is a divisor of order of G. This is the theorem. This k is called the index of group. In the statement of Lagrange's theorem, we have stated that the converse is not true. So that means what? If M is a divisor of N, so it is not necessary that we always have a subgroup of order M in G. So we can show it by an example. We have already discussed the alternating group. Alternating group means what? The group of all even permutations. So consider alternating group A4. You know its symmetric group P4 will have factorial 4 element, and there was a theorem in permutations which says out of factorial and permutations half are even, half are odd. So number of element in A4 will be factorial 4 by 2, that is 12. And clearly 6 is a divisor of 12, but there exists no subgroup of this alternating group A4 which is of order 6. So that's the theorem. And that is all for my set, which is cosets and its important theorem, including Lagrange's theorem. So I hope you will understand all the things, and hopefully thanks to all of you. Thank you.